Welcome back to this. This is day one of Split 2 of OPL for 2017. My name is Michael Higgins, and if you're just joining us, I am on the desk here with Bradley T-Gun Seymour, the support player of TM, and also on loan from the LPL, we have Zach Rusty Pie. We just saw Direwolves beat the Chiefs 2-1, and we're about to get into our second match of the game, which is going to be Regicide, newly promoted from the OCS, taking on Abyss Esports. And I'm very excited about this big game because a lot to talk about here, because we've got a lot of new players, a lot of old returning players. Firstly, I want to talk about Luch coming back to this Abyss side, T-Gun, because he was banned last split, and I think Spawn said when he was banned, look, this could be the reason they get relegated. Now, they weren't relegated, but excited to see the return of Luch.
He was the man that carried me back into the OPL when I played an OCS split with him, so I'm well versed in how good he is. And I fully expect him to just carry this game no matter what happens in it. They could draft around him, they could draft with the idea of just never going to his lane. I still expect him to do really well because he is just that good.
Yeah, and I mean, historically, Luch, when he did play in the OPL, he had a very good breakout split, good performance with the whole team, but he looked like a hard farmer. He's the kind of guy that has 220 CS at 20 minutes. He'd always do that, no matter how the laning phase was going, kind of like a miracle worker would be. And he actually cropped up to be one of the big superstars for the Abyss roster. His late game team fighting, his awareness was incredible.
Absolutely, and even though he spent an entire split on the bench, well, not being allowed to play, he's not been sitting around doing nothing. He's been all over solo queue. A lot of people have been saying, look, as a mid laner, and these are top tier mid laners talking, they're just like, I don't want to go up against Luch. You know, people are afraid of dealing with this guy. So across the board then, we're seeing, across the rift then, you know, on the side of Regicide, we should say at the start of this that they are going to be losing all of their bans for today's matches because of they weren't adhering to the roster lock a couple of weeks back. That's part of a competitive ruling that you can read online. But a lot of people who you've played with before in this, your former teammate Suman is what I want to talk about here in the mid lane. So how do you feel like he's going to go up against Luch in this match?
So I spoke pretty highly of Luch, and I'm going to do the same for Suman. He is very good. We had a little bit of communication issues with him when we played. I don't see him having that on the Regicide roster because he's with more people that speak Mandarin Chinese, so they'll be able to communicate a lot more fluently, and that might actually help him get sort of jungle pressure through the mid lane and sort of get him rolling. But again, my problem is he's up against Luch. I just...
Real good.
So the problem that people had with Luch wasn't that he's going to beat them by brawling them. It's that he doesn't brawl. He just sits back and farms. It's boring. It's annoying. That's what people say. That's the descriptive words that people say when they lean against him. They say, this man just sits there and farms and there's nothing I can do. And that's what's going to happen here. Human might pick LeBlanc or Zed, some sort of assassin that he's very savvy with, but Luch won't give him an opportunity to kill him, so he's going to have to roam and be effective elsewhere on the map to sort of get his team across the line here.
Meanwhile, I know in the top lane, Rusty, you want to talk about Pabu versus a guy called ZZZ, who people might remember as being Paradise. He's obviously changed his name. Now he's ZZZ. I mean, what we have here is, for Abyss, a young gun Pabu who just joined the OPL permanently regularly, I should say, last split, even though he had played a couple of games before. So that's very, very exciting. But he's coming up against a guy who's got a lot of experience in ZZZ.
And Swiper's Nightmare, perhaps, is a good way to describe ZZZ. Formerly known as RSI, formerly known as Paradise. This man tears through solo queue as a Riven main, came into the OPL and still tore through the OPL as a Riven main, but can play other champions. And honestly was a fantastic carry player. So we do look towards him to say that maybe this is the top laner to beat this split. We yet to see it. It's not tested, but from what we have seen of him in the past, he was incredible. And I mean, up against him is Pabu, very strong mechanical player, good individual skills, maybe doesn't think the same way that he plays on occasion. He is known to kind of work for himself, work for Pabu's gain, maybe not the whole team, but with the roster now that flanks him, Pabu might be able to grow out of that.
So if ZZZ is going to be wanting to play Riven in this game, presumably as a Riven main. Do they just ban him out, or are there counters to this?
I know, he's stretched out for a River Doer. I think he played it 1 week in the OPL. He won with it, but he's got other champions. Like his Fiora was awesome, and Fiora's a pretty big pick right now as an example.
Okay, well then let's look elsewhere on this Abyss roster then, because obviously flanking Pabu, like Rusty said, you've got Seb, you've got Luch, you've got Raid, and they've got also a new support player, Rosie, who's obviously bringing a lot of experience. So this Abyss roster has kind of changed a lot since last split.
Yeah, they're just tearing through supports like nothing else. But adding Rosie is a big thing.
Yeah.
And having him to back up Seb, so a big problem they had last split was their shot calling went all through Seb, and he was finding it a bit overwhelming. Now, Rosie's a veteran player. He knows the map like no one else. So having him to supplement Seb's shot calling is going to be a big thing for Abyss, and it might be the thing that turns them into a top 3, top 4 team that they've been looking for quite a while now.
Meanwhile, then for Regicide, I mean, a lot of these guys we haven't seen in the OPL before, even though we've seen Chenny Boy, Suman, and ZZZ before. Fade, I've not seen a lot of, and K-pop is, I think, quite new. Rusty, have you seen these guys in solo queue? What do you know about them?
I mean, we know Fade, formerly John's son, I believe. So those who play Challenger solo queue may be familiar with that name above all else. And K-pop, I don't know a whole lot about. I know you've played against him a couple of times. When it comes to Regicide, though, they are young players.
Yeah.
Paradise, I would not say is an old experienced player himself, and they are still flanked by Chenny Boy, which is the person that you'd have to talk about for this side. Chenny, he has been through every single OPL team since the beginning of the OPL. He has always existed and should be an experienced voice for the team.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts? Because I'm just getting word now. We're having some technical difficulties getting into this. So we're very sorry. We are going to go to a 10-minute break while we sort out these issues before we go into this second match. So I guess go grab a drink, go to the bathroom, and we'll be back in 10 minutes with more OPL.
separates men from lesser men? Predators from prey? Fear. Predators smell it. And walk away when they don't.
Welcome back to the OPL. We're about to get into our second match of the day, which sees Abyss take on Regicide, newly promoted from the OCS. My name is Michael Hingersing, and we do apologize for that technical delay. I'm joined here on the analyst desk by Bradley T-Gun Seymour and also Zach Rusty Pie. And so let us just get straight into it by taking a look at our teams as they're getting ready right now in the OPL studios here at Right. Let's first of all start by looking at Abyss. Sweet new uniforms. I'm digging them. What are your thoughts on the uniforms, T-Gun? Fan?
No.
Oh, well, brutal. All right. Well, let's take a look at these guys. Their top laner is Pabu. Their jungler is Seb. Their mid laner returned after a split suspended is Luch. Their AD carry is Raid. And the support player there, newly joining, is Rosie. He's a bit of a veteran of the scene. And when you look at these guys, Rusty, you're a fan of their uniforms because I think they're bloody grouse.
Yeah, no, grouse is a great word to describe them, actually. I think that they actually are quite a good uniform and good people wearing those uniforms.
Yeah.
Most importantly, right? That's where we're going with this.
Sure. I don't know. I'll just rate their clothing. I don't care. But these guys, if you're just joining us, we've shouted out Luch as maybe a bit of a threat. Pabu's a bit of a threat for these guys. Rosie's obviously a bit of a veteran. Seb's going to be doing a lot of their captaincy and a lot of their shot calling if you can share it, wanting to share it around. And also Raid and Eddie Carey, who love to farm. Last split. Certainly loved that. So, Zach, Rusty, let me get your... let's take a look at their opponents. Regicide, who've recently been promoted from the OCS. Regicide getting ready right now. And a lot of these guys are going to be playing on LAN for the first time here in studio. So let's take a look at their lineup. Their top laner is ZZZ, formerly known as Paradise. Their jungler is Fade. Human is their mid laner. You've obviously played a bit with him before, T-Gun. Their AD carry is Chenny Boy, who's been around maybe since the dawn of time. And the support player is K-Pop, who, again, we don't know a lot about. But T-Gun, you've met him in solo queue. What are your thoughts on K-Pop?
Before I go into K-Pop, when you say Chenny Boy's been around since the dawn of time, you make me feel old because I've also been playing since he was playing as well.
Chenny Boy was born out of an egg.
He's been here since the start of the OPL, and many of us were here before the OPL existed.
Stop making us all feel old.
Well,
all right?
Yeah, I'm
back into
here.
K-pop though. Back into
K-pop.
There's not much to say about him. He honestly wasn't incredibly impressive. He was a solid player, but just nothing super special. So it's not like you're going to see crazy plays out of him, crazy off-meta picks. You're just going to see a stock standard support player.
And going up against Rosie, who has a lot of experience, that could be potentially a mismatch on the Rift. But let's get your guys' predictions before we move into this second match of the day. T-Gun, is this going to be a Regicide fired-up debut, or is Abyss going to take this?
Abyss 2-0.
Oh, Abyss 2-0. Wow, very, very confident there. Rusty, what do you think?
I didn't really know which one to go for, but I've decided that I'm going to go with Abyss as well. I just think the Luch factor might be a little bit too strong here between these teams. I'm still going to say 2-1 though.
Do you remember if you tipped that?
No, I have no idea what I tipped.
The site froze. I don't know what I was doing. All right, well, that is enough from us here at the Analyst Desk. We're about to get into our second match of the day. So thank you for bearing with us through those technical pauses. But let's throw it now to your casters, Spawn and Fish.
Thank you very much, guys. What
the heck was that?
That was a long time. I was getting ready to speak, and it just wouldn't let me talk. But I'm about to get into the second match of today. It's going to be Abyss Esports taking on Regicide, the newly promoted team from the OCS.
Yeah, certainly. And, you know, when you have a look at this Regicide roster, there really isn't all that much to know, Fish, because Fade was their mid lane, and now their jungler. ZZZ played in the playoffs for them, but wasn't seen before that as Paradise. Chenny was there for a couple of games, but once again, not much history on this team. K-Pop is now on the roster. And then you have a look at Suman, who's joining in the mid lane, obviously, because Fade is roster swapped into the jungle. I mean, there are a KFC variety bucket everywhere as we get a nice and close look in there.
Yeah, not quite sure what's going on there, but we're zooming in nice and close.
We were. That was a staggered zoom as well. I love that. Getting some really up close and personal action as we jump back out of Champions League.
Hi guys, we're back.
I wasn't expecting that. I was leading right into my screen, and then it's like, oh, we just come back.
I pulled up my chair and everything. I was ready to go through Champions League. Apparently not. So hopefully we get that one resolved as soon as possible.
That's a stool, not a chair.
That's a chair to me. Same thing.
It's a chair to you. All right, cool. No worries.
Boom! There we go. We're back in the Champions League. We're not zooming in, which is great. And just to let you guys know that unfortunately Regicide have lost their bans coming into this game for failing to adhere to the roster lock rules.
Exactly right. So we're going to have to wait for the clock to time out on all of those. Let's talk about Abyss for a little bit, however, because I'm super excited about this team. Luch is someone that I've always been a fan of, was able to really farm up in the mid lane and become a big team fighting threat when control mages were in play, expecting to play things like Ryze, Orianna. Very good on those picks. And I honestly thought that without him, Abyss might have been relegated. I mean, I was talking about it on the OPL show. And now that he's back, I'm just super excited to see what they're able to pull together because they're flanked by, you know, Seb, Rosie. They're going to be able to help out the whole team. Rosie's a good shot caller in his own right. Of course, from Tainted Minds, where he was last professionally played, did have the rest of the season off after they had their exodus of their roster. And now back on an exciting Abyss lineup, both Luch and Rosie are going to really want to prove themselves this split.
In talking that, so you look at those three players, Pabu, Luch, Rosie, real superstars themselves. Pabu is an up-and-coming player who played for half the split side, kind of. They lock in Zach, obviously, as their first choice with no bans from Regicide. But Seb and Raid, they've been solid rocks for Abyss for a long time now. Raid had a great season. Seb was really hit or miss last season, so I'm curious to see how he's going to perform in Split 2. And
even Raid, he was like one of the stand-up out, sure, but he definitely wasn't up to his 2016 form. So I think now that he has Rosie back, down in the bottom lane, a little bit more of an experienced support going to help him out there. See him on the screen. Big hyper carry player is Raid. Chenny also a hyper carry player, known for his Vayne most famously, as well as his mid lane Galio, but we don't talk about that.
Instead, he's going to be locking Zaya here today as his AD carry of choice. Lots of champions left open due to no 3 bans coming through, so they pick up Gragas. Now Abyss have a chance to really flex here.
Yeah, they certainly do, because all of a sudden you're looking at a wide open champion pool, both top and mid. Pabu probably going to play a little bit more standard. Is known in solo queue for the things like, you know, the Riven, the Renekton. However, I'm expecting him to go towards a tank against ZZZ because no one really wants to challenge Mr. Paradise, RSI, into a carry versus carry matchup.
Definitely don't. Seems like Abyss have settled for their jungler pick of choice, which is going to be Elise, and Pabu will be playing Zac in the top lane. Could be support Zac.
Could be support Zac. I mean, it could be support Elise. Rosie plays weird stuff. I once saw him play 2 games of back-to-back support Ziggs.
I mean, Rapid Fire Cannon
Bard?
Support Zac incoming for Rosie.
Yeah, of course he plays, I think his name is RF Bard only on the server, which is Rapid Fire Cannon Bard, of course. Likes to get the one-punch build in there. But instead, a little bit more standard with the Elise as well as the Varus. Only curveball so far is potentially that tanky top lane.
Let's see what Regicide decided to pick up. They go for Lulu as their next pick. Most likely the support for K-pop.
I do not see Suman playing Lulu at all.
No. That's not LeBlanc.
Most likely
that's not Ari.
Will be K-pop. As we mentioned as well, Regicide losing all bans. So see whether they get made pay on the next 2, because there is a couple of theories that, you know, losing all 5 bans leaves open like a lot. So obviously right here Abyss will be able to target ban away what they don't want to play against. But with the Gragas being a flex pick, with Lulu potentially being a flex pick, does help out a little bit in that regard.
So Echo is the 4th ban in this game. Abyss still have 1 more. Regicide will lose their 5th and final ban. And then Regicide will get to pick first. Abyss will round out their roster. And then Regicide will get the final pick of choice. Abyss, curious to see what they're going to play here as their final 2 picks around this roster. And really curious to see where Zach's going to play. He can go top, jungle, support.
You would have to think that given that is an Echo ban, they probably want to play Syndra mid lane. Is a potential. If they ban away Fizz, I'm definitely going to suspect that a Syndra is going to be picked up.
It's curious. They ban those 2 champions that will probably force Regicide to pick it up for Suman.
Yeah, potentially. Of course, is a very good mid laner in his own right. We talk about Luch a lot, but Suman should be hyped up. We've seen him on 2 teams so far. The Exile 5 lineup where he was able to promo Relo into the OPL last split. And then, of course, played on the Chiefs' famous special unit.
Where they actually won a match.
Against Exile 5, funnily enough.
So Regicide, they're going to lock in Orianna as their mid lane pick of choice. Zed was the final ban.
And that's interesting. That's really standard coming out of Suman. So maybe the curveball they will throw is in ZZZ's lane. Something like a Kled or a Fiora. Fiora's banned away, so maybe something like a Kled could be the potential pickup there.
No, you're not going to do that. Come on, get on a real champion. There we go. Syndra actually locked in here for Luch. Final pick will really tell us, is it going to be a top lane Zac? Or is Rosie playing this champion today?
Yeah, and that would be, I mean, they've left it really ambiguous until the end. I think it was Jake from Avant that was telling me that potentially Zac is a good support. And Galio also potentially a good support.
Ooh.
The flex is still wide open.
Yep, lots of flex coming out from Abyss here. Galio's picked up a pick that's been left to last. Something is he very first pick worthy at the moment.
Especially if you can play at mid lane. If you can play at mid lane and top lane, there is no reason to not pick Galio first.
No.
Of course, with Zac being available, definitely is the stronger of the 2 OPs. But you can see right now they have a lot of damage. And it might be the Paradise top lane Riven and is locked in.
Let's go on a journey, baby, because Riven has been locked in the OPL.
Okay, ZZZ in solo queue is very, very infamous for his Riven. As we said, I think he only played it once during the OPL. Much preferred Fiora when he was able to get his hands on it. However, Fiora being banned away, this is going to be super interesting going into against a Galio. And you can see that it's going to be the support Zac.
Support Zac being picked up by Rosie. We saw it being played as a jungler mostly during the League of Origin. I believe there was only 1 game of Zac anyway.
Yep, that was Victoria leaving it up against New South Wales because they didn't think only played it. My bad, guys. He does play Zac. Or Zac is just that insanely busted that you don't have to play it to be good at it.
I mean, you see him played everywhere, so it's, that's a good sign that the champion is rather busted. But still, Riven top lane, teleport with heal for ZZZ.
Potentially. I mean, stranger things have happened today.
Who needs flash?
Who needs flash? Heal is nice, gives you that little burst of movement speed. I have no idea why you would take it. That is just weird.
Apparently, but he's up against Pabu, who's not a stranger to how Riven works in the top lane. I mean, he's played it himself. He kind of understands it.
He has a cheeky Riven game every now and again. You can check him out on his stream. Falling a little bit further behind on Riven than you would necessarily want to in the early game. But of course, Pavu, fantastic top laner in his own right. I think that, you know, mechanics standpoint, he knows how to play the lane, still has a way to go, and I hope that Rosie is really helping out with this in how to play the map. Now, the reason I mention it now on Galio, definitely needs to be able to cross map with this champion. Well, of course, has a big damage reduction that comes in the ult, so you need to be able to get it in there early, as well as landing CC. If you can with the ultimate, just makes it so much more impactful.
Yeah, and it's good to see that he is on a standard champion heading into the top lane as well, as we are going straight into Summoner Shift. It's not going to be heal on ZZZ. That was just a visual bug there. So flash as well as teleport. But for now, let's check in with Hingers, who is with one of the coaches.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Drac, the coach of Abyss, and you got to feel pretty good just drafting with no bans on blue side.
Just the control in the current meta was really nice to be able to get that Zac. So
yeah, I mean, well, speak about Zac because he can go anywhere, but in particular, you decided to put him to support. Why did you guys decide to put him there today?
When they didn't take the Elise pick as well, which is considered the other priority pick, like we figured we'll take both for game 1 and just see where it leads us.
So you guys are feeling pretty confident going into game 1?
I'm very happy with how the draft turned out.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you for speaking to us and best of luck in the game.
Thank you very much.
There you go. The strategy is say trial and error. Let's take both of them and yeah, let's see how that goes. I can't go wrong with that, apparently.
Exactly right. I'm amazed. Imagine if there was a third priority jungler. Ooh. Where the hell would they put him all fish?
Yeah, just take Gragas there so you got a 3-way flex. He can be played support as well.
Minions have spawned.
for now, nothing happening between Abyss and Regicide to kick things off. Regicide newly promoted from the OCS.
Took Exile 5's position in the OPL. Pabu coming down. He's going to help out with the Raptor camp. Of course, Galio can just throw out the Q and then actually gets back to top lane in time. One of the best leashes in the game. Fade, of course, going to start on Raptors as well. You fully charge your Gragas barrel, you get the second one out as well, and you're able to full clear that camp. Not too much trouble. So both junglers going to be absolutely fine.
Yep. He's down in the bottom lane already. Raid and Chenny Boy. Going back to back here. Oh, look at that slam onto K-pop. That is a fun interaction to watch as Zach.
I mean, it's fun, but it really didn't do all that much.
No, it did not. Just slammed him against a minion. You'd expect that to hurt a little bit more.
Sometimes just sending a message is what it's about.
Clobbering heads together. Raid, though, just going to happily farm out. The race to level 2 is still on in this bottom lane. You expect Chenny Boy to be slightly ahead, but Raid already trying to hard push.
I mean, you can't really hard push when you have a melee support, especially one that needs to save Targons for Raid. He gets harassed, so not surprised that they win the level 2 race here, and now Raid takes some damage.
Yeah, walks forward to pick up that last hit. Doesn't pay for it too much. Top side of the map. Triple Z. Try and engage on towards Pabu.
Let's go with ZZZ.
ZZZ?
Yeah, I don't like Triple C. If you're Australian, we can go with ZZZ.
ZZZ and ZZZs. Just sounds like he's sleeping.
Yeah, no, it does. I'm a big fan of typing Z's in chat.
You're toxic.
However, no, I'm not. Take that back.
Tough side of the map though. Nothing too much happening between these two. And Pabu's farming up nice and fine. Back trading against Riven pretty well.
I mean, but Riven doesn't have mana, Trick is saying, so not really going to be all that worried about it. See mid lane, Suman doing absolutely fine against Luch. Luch, however, did get a nice trade there and burned through both potions already, so winning out on the sustain battle in lane quite well. And now Seb, needs to wait for this wave to crash. And actually, Suman going to go back. That is really bad news because all of a sudden, top side of the map opens up for Abyss, potentially can go for a gank onto ZZZ.
He's boss turned around, finds the Krugs. Gragas is on the wrong side of the map for this. It's been a long time since Elise has been spotted in vision. Bottom lane though, Ray going to take some damage. That's 2 feathers behind, doesn't get the root. Slapped by Rosie as well. Good trades going in favor of Regicide in the bottom lane, and Gragas is now down here. They've got to be careful.
Potential flash body slam.
Gets it. Lots of damage on the Ray. He flashes away immediately. Good exhaust being used by Rosie, so it splashes burnt across the board.
And ZZZ's on the wrong side of the map right now, Fish. The great chase begins.
He does have flash, but simply just needs to E away. Seb not able to find the flank he really wanted there.
And this is what I was saying. Part of the thing about being a resourceless top laner is it really just comes down to, can they sustain with mana? And right now, Pabu is so low on mana that that was a bad gank to go for. K-pop once again takes no damage out of Rosie.
Just gets slammed into a minion. It's not fun, but it's not the worst thing to happen in this bottom lane.
No summoner spells available anywhere, and you can see that Gragas is actually still behind them.
Yep. Good trade in the mid lane though. Sealman, half his health gone. One combo from Luch. Trades back nicely, but still feels like Luch is getting the upper hand there. Elise has made her way all the way down into the bottom lane, so they have to be a little bit careful now.
And look at Luch go. I mean, he's already 10 CS up. Wave is completely neutral. Nowhere else on the map has any kind of advantages. Everyone else is even. And Luch finds a 10 CS advantage.
K-pop actually cancelling his recall there.
Yeah,
Didn't
got
think he'd get home in
interrupted.
time.
That's pretty bad out of the rookie support. Now they're going to be able to shove up. He's not going to be able to freeze the lane unless he cancels. So he's going to cancel again and just delaying recall after recall.
Yep.
And Rosie actually might be able to stop him from freezing this wave as well. So it's going to crash. And he still just hasn't got the shop off.
So he's going to be able to pick up this wave instead of Chenny Boy. Now I'm going to go back to base. That's not good from K-pop.
Certainly isn't. We see Fade once again visiting top lane. This time it's going to be Johnson that gets a gank for, sorry, Paradise. ZZZ that gets a gank. This is going to be hard for me. I'm really bad at calling people their new name.
Pabu though, more than happy to go toe-to-toe against Riven for now. Gragas instead leaves the lane, so he's actually doing fine against this Riven.
I mean, he had an early shot, and he's down a couple of CS. Riven is one of those champions that is kind of win harder as soon as you start snowballing. Of course, just double dipping with AD onto offensive and defensive stats. now with the new, with the changes that came through to Death's Dance, is a pretty good pickup on Riven as well.
It is.
I like it.
Top side of the map though, CGZ is trying to freeze against Pabu, forcing him to move further up the map, so he's in a bit of a dangerous spot. Chenny Boy though, oh, almost dead. Didn't have his support with him.
Yeah, exactly right. K-Pop was kind of running around in the jungle trying to track out Seb, but now that they've gone that low, Seb being in behind him, they have to give up some... Oh, here we go.
Big damage. Luch almost takes down Suman, about 300 health left.
Look at Luch go as well. He just burns the Ghost, puts out all the damage onto Suman, and then just dances around in the lane. Still going to be up in CS. And he's continuing to exert pressure. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Rosie and Raid have forced them back. They're also up 14 CS.
This is great for Abyss because they have pressure bottom lane. Chenny Boy and K-Pop can't really step up with 3 people here. And with that, Fade can't be top lane. Now Pabu has some extra control on the top side of the map. He's only 5 CS behind a Riven, which it's expect to be good for a Galio.
Yes.
Teleport being used by ZZZ to get back to lane.
Of course, ZZZ dreams of being a warrior, goes back and picks up a sword and a shield. Well, actually 2 swords and a shield. Don't know how he's supposed to hold them all. Maybe it's a buckler, maybe it's strapped to his arm.
You throw one, you just hold the other.
Throw a sword.
Yep.
Teleport actually coming in right now. This is potentially a 5-man mid.
That's an ultimate being used very early on towards the Syndra, but they locked down Fade. He's dead instantly. Seb, very close to dying, but it's Luch that picks up first blood.
Why did Pabu ult Luch?
I don't know. Don't think anyone but Pabu could tell you that.
It was an interesting move, this. Got him an assist.
Potentially trying to cut him off. Suman didn't use his ultimate or any of his summoner spells.
No, Suman was underneath his turret. That's why I'm confused.
So curious, but Abyss used his time to take blue buff away from FaZe jungle and now moving down towards the bottom lane. Spot on a couple of wards, they're going to get pinged down, and assistance pings coming from all round for that bottom lane.
And so far, Abyss making this game look really easy. They're up 1,000 gold. ZZZ, just because of the base damages of the Galio, is going to be locked underneath his turret.
And he's gone for the triple ring as well from Pabu. He's going to be so healthy when it comes to mana now. Good early game stats. More enough damage to continue smacking down these waves.
And it really is going to have to be an all-in from ZZZ that chunks him out. Generally, as Riven, in competitive play at least, you don't normally get the all-in with the ulti. Use the ulti to kind of chunk them out the first time, get some CS, go back, get a good shot. Then the next one will be enough to do it. Fade really needs to be able to impact this top side of the map because right now has been relatively ineffective with his ganks, I think it's fair to say. And his lanes are just starting to lose out.
But again, very quiet between the two teams despite Abyss making it look rather clinical for now. Just seems like the struggles of a newer team coming into the OPL can clearly be seen from Regicide. Whereas Abyss now with their veteran members showing a lot more class.
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, it's been composed so far. They've sidestepped every gank that's come their way. Even bottom lane, who fell behind summoner spells, is now completely caught back up. Rosie, now that he's level 6, can look for engages. And not all that much they can really do, apart from hope that Suman survives and ZZZ gets ahead of the tank. We saw, actually, at Origin, Fantix play a lot of Assassins into tanks and do it relatively well. We're playing more of the Tassadin and the Talon style, though, as opposed to the Riven. You can see that there is a small CS advantage top lane, but I don't think Pabu's all that worried about ZZZ. He just is going to continue to push in the wave and look to pressure mid.
Fade now sitting close to the mid lane. Will body slam over the wall. I believe Luch has spotted him.
Yeah, he certainly has. Luch absolutely does not care.
But he still goes in. Suman take quite a bit of damage. Seb is close by. Cocoon lands on towards Fade. Luch preemptively popped that Ghost. Ultimate comes out from Fade as well as the flash, but now Suman's in trouble. Rosie jumps on in, slams him against a minion despite the cleanse. Good damage back down towards Seb, but still, Abyss forcing him out of the mid lane.
Certainly do, and you can just see how much confidence Luch plays with. Jungler coming in for a gank, not really all that worried about it. Knows that he has 7 in his back pocket. Knows that Rosie, the veteran, is going to get there. It just, once again, it looks like there's not that much effort going into the Abyss kind of laning phase so far.
Yep. Seems like they're completely comfortable with the position they're currently at. They don't need to force too much. Regicide, though, they're not out of this game. They're only 1,000 gold behind, but they definitely look like they're having a little bit of a struggle. against Abyss, so to speak.
Yeah, I certainly agree they're not out of the game. All you need is ZZZ one roam into the mid lane to be able to blow up Luch, get Suman back the CS advantage, a little bit of pressure in the lane, and you'll be absolutely fine. You can see that now ZZZ, now that he's reached level 9, is starting to shove up that lane just a little bit. And just in the same way that Luch isn't really worried about the Gragas, I don't think ZZZ is all that worried about the Elise either. Moby Boots Rush Elise probably is just a free kill for a Riven at this stage of the game, especially one with Get Strict up. However, first objective of the game will go over to Abyss. They're going to pick themselves up a Cloud Drake here.
Cloud Dragon's picked up. Infernal Dragon's the next objective on the map.
It's pretty big. The fact that they got it ticking over early, normally there is that little bit of temptation to just leave Cloud Dragons on the map because the tempo loss isn't really all that worth it. But when you see it tick over to Infernal, you know that that gamble was worthwhile, definitely.
So we talk about this in the LPL a lot, but the Regicide coming into this, they are a multilingual team. I believe K-pop's the only one that doesn't speak Mandarin on this side, and there's a couple players that don't speak English very well. And Jenny Boy is probably their translator coming to this. I've heard him talk, he's very good when he speaks English. So it's curious to see if that's going to impact their play at all.
Yeah,
especially when the supports are probably one of the more vocal players.
I think that that's the reason that Regicide are actually excited about this roster, however, because this is the first time they are going to be able to speak Mandarin during the game. You can see that Pabu goes back, picks himself tabbies as well as the Shroud. So it's going to be a brick. I mean, he is not going to be moved out of this lane anytime soon. However, Fade coming back into the top lane.
Jogger says, fight me. ZZZ is going to get his more pops. He gets a big shield from the E. Pabu trying to dash away. Fade knocks
really
him
nice
back
ult.
into the lane. Really good ultimate. Pabu has to stand and deliver, but he just can't. The consistent damage from these two is enough. The Wind Slash will be enough to pick it down, but Raid now getting engaged on in the bottom lane. Wild Growth preemptively used by K-pop. Will slam the two champions in together. Luch trying to dash on in. Delivery service from Rosie brings the support back into the rest of the team. Sev's now chasing on down in spider form. Jenny Boy will escape, but it's trading kills top side, bottom side.
Exactly right, and all of a sudden they've opened up the turret as well. Something that ZZZ is not going to be able to do most likely, as Pabu has teleport, and it is a very healthy turret up there. So Abyss get the 1-for-1 trade, however, pick up the extra 1,000 gold off first brick.
Certainly do. Top side of the map, as you mentioned, going to be saved by Pabu, who still had his teleport available. Fade and ZZ were pinging it. They decided to stick around for a little bit longer, but they do not all in commit for that turret.
And once again, Luch is at the clock right now. Going to be able to clear out this wave. He's going to get himself towards that 140 CS mark. 14 minutes, and that's with a roam, as well as a couple of shops coming in as well. Just so efficient with his farming. Something that you're definitely going to have to watch out for as this season progresses. It's how you generally get in his head, although now K-pop caught good flash.
Passes away from the cocoon. Pabu doesn't have enough crowd control to continue chasing, but they have their eyes set towards red buff. ZZZ is here, so is Rosie.
Maybe you don't want to fight this, however, as ZZZ doesn't have his ultimate available.
They're going to take red buff for a little trip downtown as he resets and just gets angry. Uppercut comes to Pabu. Look at him go! Usain Bolt on the Rift.
And they actually do match the lane swap. So all of a sudden, even though Chenny is 30 CS down and doesn't have summoner spells available, they want to be able to match Raid as well as Rosie. So ZZZ will head down into that bottom lane. A wave that is pushing against him, and there are 4 members strong looking for this turret dive. Fade, you do not want to be there.
No, there's a lot of people there. They're going to get locked down. Fade is just destroyed. He finds a Garen in that brush, and many, many more champions, as that's a flash forward from Raid, over behind the turret, locks down Lulu. K-pop's already burned his flash from earlier. Pabu gets the Superman grand entrance there just for style points. And Abyss really styling on Regicide now.
Yeah, they certainly are. Now they're 3,000 gold up. They're going to push down another turret, make it about 4,000. And you're right, I don't know what else that ultimate was for, apart from style points.
Woo, to the skies.
Pabu just likes hitting the R button.
He's not used to it to being a defensive spell. He's ready to just kill people with his R button. That's what it's normally there for.
And actually goes for the Frozen Heart. So he wants absolutely no offensive prowess in this lane. Does need to look out, however, because armor stacking, when you're going up a Riven that's going to have Shred in the form of that Cleaver quite soon, can become dangerous. And ZZZ, there's 2 kinds of Riven players. There's the one that rush boots really early on, and there's one that just never purchases. And so far, looks to be the kind that just does not purchase.
Yeah, doesn't even have his brown shoes yet. Everyone else has
no
a pair.
Nikes.
Fade's going to continue to try and farm his jungle. Hasn't had a very impressive start to this game. A couple of good ganks, but Nothing too flashy.
Pretty telegraphed, I think you would say.
Yeah.
So far. I mean, had the Raptors start really clean, has farmed quite well, is actually up in levels over Seb, even though Seb's been around for a lot of the neutral objectives. But pretty readable play so far, and hasn't really bothered the Abyss lineup. I mean, Pabu died once, but it's still absolutely fine. He's playing a brick of a top laner, has red buff. It's going to be very difficult to kill Pabu in these lanes.
Again, very quiet between the two teams. Abyss, though, should be very comfortable with the lead. They have 4,000 gold advantage. Taking the game slow. They have 2 outer turrets to the none of Regicide and all the elemental dragons. Next one comes up with 50. Metal Dragon will be worth fighting for. Suman just being jumped on by Luch. He doesn't care. There's 2 people around him. No problem. They polymorph Rosie. Gets the rubber hands together. Knock back into the team. Let's go, boys. We're going to bounce straight back. They pop Zac, but he's the only one fallen so far. His passive going to try and keep himself alive. Knock back the stun, but ZZ still gets the kill with the Wind Slash.
Yeah, really nice actual complete there out of ZZZ, although now going too forward.
Big taunt. ZZZ going to try and keep himself alive. Good knockback from Fade. Pabu is still up. Raid's going to fall first, though. Look at ZZZ go. Jumping straight into the back lines. Pabu gets a good taunt down, but Chenny Boy throwing out those feathers. It's actually Regicide to come out on top in that fight.
They certainly do, and a lot of it was to do with ZZZ. Able to continue that fight. Multiple shields coming out of Riven. A champion that you're not really used to playing against. Luch is so confident stepping forward, but unfortunately it gave his team the confidence as well. And they continued that fight. Maybe when they should have just taken the pick. And all of a sudden, Regicide opening up on this Infernal Dragon. Yep, going to be picking it up. And champions like Riven that get double dipping off stats, Orianna, they love Infernal Dragons.
They certainly do. Infernal Dragon picked up. They are still about 3,000 gold behind. That's Ripco being summoned. Let's take a look at that fight again.
Yeah, so let's take another look at it. All of a sudden, they chunked out, and they should just leave this kill here. All of a sudden, Rosie probably should just be retreating. Instead, using his ult, they stick with the play. They're still moving forward. And as soon as Riven gets in here, going to be able to pick up the Rosie kill, and then still has the ultimate for all that bonus AD, and the ability to continue to spam out spells. Meanwhile, Abyss did use the Rift Herald to pick up mid lane turret, so all 3 outers now gone.
No turrets available for Regicide, so they bring that gold lead back in their favor, 4,000 gold up.
And this is a really, so far, only that mid lane team fight didn't look good out of Abyss. Everything else has been really clean. You've knocked down all 3 outers by 18 minutes. You're 4,000 gold up. You're controlling objectives well. The scary thing is, however, is if ZZZ gets maybe 1-2 more kills and really turns into that accelerated Riven, you're going to be in big trouble in the split push because no one's going to be able to go up against him.
Raid's still looking to complete his Zeal item. He's been sitting on it for quite some time. Should we go back to base and collect that? Flip side of Rift, Chenny Boy. He's doing all right for himself. Had a very struggle of a lane, but felt more like that was K-pop in that bottom lane getting called out time and time again.
Yeah, you actually have to say Chenny's had a pretty good game so far.
Yeah.
K-pop is 0-3 and was really struggling against the Zac. A lane that you would think maybe Lulu should probably out-pressure quite heavily. However, still within 20 CS, so doing an alright job. You can see the Riven is going towards Cleaner, that 20% cooldown reduction. See whether it grabs another 20 from elsewhere. Is quite obnoxious when you're able to continually spam at Riven. Fade being invaded on again for a red buff, needs to get the heck out.
Jumped up by Rosie. Doesn't have another minion, monster, or champion to slap to get that stun down with his Q. But red buff is picked up by Fade, nice and easy. Abyss have control of the map, so I'm curious to see how they're going to work with that control.
Certainly do, but they need to make sure they're not overextending. Just running into champions like Orianna. Big jump coming in here.
Rosie right behind Suman, locked down. Here's the delivery service. Let's go for a little bit of a bounce, and Suman is decimated before he can do anything to retaliate.
Yeah, really nice engage. I was going to say they need to make sure they pick their moments because, oh, flash out of K-pop as well. If ZZZ is able to get in behind you, and if they continue to run forward, will mean bad things. However, they get the pick they're looking for into the wave clear, and now going to be shoving in that mid lane.
Turret's going to take some damage. Raid steps up here. A couple of auto attacks down. Look at ZZZ. He wants in. He's not afraid of nobody.
Yeah, does not care at this stage of the game. Have to think has a pretty big shop as well. He's been out on Summoner's Rift for quite some time.
He's still up in CS, and 2-0-1. ZZ's having a good game. this man on the screen, Chenny Boy, playing really well, just hasn't had the right setup for him.
I mean, hasn't really had a look into the game, really. Support got picked off a couple of times. This time he had to rotate just because Suman had been picked off by Rosie. So even though he's down 20-odd CS, still comparable in items, going to be able to go back and finish up his Zeal item quite soon. There's just not that much farm available for him. Fitch, top lane pushing in. Riven's always going to hog one of the side lanes as well. And Ori can't really rotate either, so unlucky for Chenny Boy means that he gets the short end of the stick.
And shield max second coming out from Suman here. Starts with a Q. Maxes the shield second. Oh, no, it doesn't. That's 5, not a 2. Actually, it is. No, I'm just... Carry on. It is a shield max second.
Yep.
I am correct the first time round.
And you would have to think that that's to repetitively give it to ZZZ in teamfight. Well, they want to continue to buff up, you know, these beefy frontliners. We've already talked about how much tanks and people that can absorb damage and reduce damage are like good on this current patch. So just further speaks towards that story right now. Suman looking to be a little bit more utility than burst damage mage.
Still up against a 4,500 gold lead that Abyss have acquired for themselves. Black Cleaver has been completed by ZZZ. Hurricane available for raid now. And it's Pabu looking to delve more into magic resistance.
And this is actually really interesting. They know that Pabu can't really go toe-to-toe right now with ZZZ, so instead they send the Syndra down there. Now
here he comes.
Fade caught out.
It's 2v4 at the moment. ZZ is going to try and jump in, but Raid locks him down. Still getting some good damage. ZZ is trying to kite through 4 members, but that's just way too many to deal with. 2 kills picked up by Abyss.
And you could see that didn't want to burn any summoner spell. Fade had already burnt his. It's now 5,500 gold and pushing into another turret. Abyss are just beating him around the map, beating them with vision, beating them with smart rotation. And all of a sudden, the turret dies.
Rosie, big jump in, knocks 2 in it again, and let's bounce! Brings 2 back to the team, not even required. They die mid-air. K-Pop, the last man standing. The poor little Lulu. Don't hurt him, Luch! Double kill, picked up by the mid laner.
And Luch, all of a sudden, 5-0-2, CSing on the clock. Definitely the mid laner that Abyss wanted to see back in their lineup. Frey did a very good job last split, but welcome home, Luch. Absolutely destroying Regicide in this game 1.
Certainly is. Abyss looking to try and push here for the first inhibitor of the match. Bottom lane inhibitor is the objective of choice. ZZZ looks like he wants to go in, gets a stun, jumps straight back out. Abyss take what they came for.
Oh, and all of a sudden, Fade's caught again.
Double stun locked, ultimate comes out and just deleted from Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and this is what people were worried about. Didn't understand why Fade had role swapped away from mid lane into that jungle position. Potentially just couldn't find another adequate person. But let's take a look at this again. You can see that very happy to dive in on all the members in ZZZ. Actually lives for a very long time. However, still just going to be 2 clean kills into what was a really well-executed turret dive. Rosie looks surprisingly comfortable on Zac support, which doesn't surprise me all that much.
Not surprising at all. Look at him go. Straight into the back lines, communicates well with Raid to time it in. Ultimate comes out. Simple delivery service.
And that was just really well executed. I mean, they stick with the play as well. They're able to get the clean ace by the end of it. That meant first inhibitor of the game had gone down. And I mean, I'm assuming there's not all that much happening live because right now, 8,000 gold, 25 minutes in.
Woo!
Abyss are just very in control of this game.
They get a Mountain Dragon for themselves, so it's something, I guess. The Baron buff is now live and on the table. ZZZ is still split pushing, but now he's up against Super Minions. 25 minutes in. Super Minions are not going to be easy to deal with, but a little bit better if you're a Riven.
Yeah, I mean, Riven going to be pretty fine pushing out that lane. The problem is just you can't join the fight in the time you want to, and you can see right now they're just posturing around the Baron area. It's a Blade of the Ruined King 80 carry with double Zeal items as well as an Elise with Burning Face. So there's just absolutely no chance the Baron lives if they actually do start it up. You can see Pabu still posturing aggressively, and really Regicide. No bans in this game. It was always going to be difficult, but with the composition that Abyss were able to pick up, they just look incredibly strong.
Certainly do. So, like you mentioned, double Zeal item already picked up by Raid. Phantom Dancer Hurricane. Very, very strong. This Varus Abyss had their eyes set towards top lane in a turret though. Late rotations from Regicide, not going to be able to get up here in time, so that's going to be another turret for Abyss, especially with ZZZ still split pushing.
And the problem is when you're behind, you can't get vision out. That means you don't really know where they're going to go. You're worried that mid lane's going to be the target because it's one of the most important lanes to keep up. Instead, they just clean out all your vision. They walk top lane through the fog of war, and there's no way you can match the rotation because they know you can't cheat. Your top lane is still just struggling to go up against Super Crazy. Now they've started up the Baron.
Look at
I mean, this is just clinical out of Abyss.
They're showing Luch middle. Pabu is flanking along the jungle to make sure they don't come through there, and it's a 3-man Baron. Easy attempt from Abyss.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's one's going to fall down. They do get a little bit of vision as
Teleport.
it dies. Teleport actually coming in. I think that's a cancel. Oh, it's not a cancel. This is really bad.
This is the Hail Mary play from Regicide. They need to make something work out of this. Riven's trying to stay undetected, but ZZZ has been spotted out, and Abyss get away scot-free.
Exactly right. So now you've burnt Teleport. You're already up against a Baron buff at only 27 minutes in. 10,000 gold is the lead. And unfortunately, I just don't know if there is a card left to play. ZZZ's looked absolutely fine on Riven, and the rest of the map has just fallen apart.
Yep, Chennyboy gets a sneaky blue steal there, pulling back the feathers, but that's about all Regicide have gotten from the last few minutes. They're going to work on this mid lane inner turret, but K-Pop out of position again! Stop! Stay behind your team! You're a Lulu! That's with Flash and everything left up as well. Now Pabu has teleported behind the rest of the team. He's trying to uppercut his way in. Knockback. See you, mate. Fade's going to make sure they can't get closer and closer, but they've got a long way to run. Their base is under attack.
Exactly right. Even though that was a good ultimate out of Fade, that means it's not available for the Siege. You can see that Abyss just have the inside lane. Oriana's trying to clear out top lane. And unfortunately, there's just absolutely nothing they can do, Fish. The new side to the OPL has had a baptism by fire because that's a rough game.
Oh, Chennyboy forced to use the ultimate to get away from Luch.
Actually nicely done. Probably would have died if he didn't.
ZZZ wants in, but I don't think the rest of the team can follow him at the moment. I mean, we looked at this team, we're like, all right, we know ZZZ, we know Suman, we know Chennyboy. Fade's going to be a question being rolled up in the jungle. We understand that's a tough point for him. K-Pop as well, the rookie, he has not impressed at all. 0-5-1, being caught out of position so far.
And you know, it might be the fact that this is the perfect draft that you can get. I mean, having no bans certainly does not help your team out.
Of course.
Rosie's very good at unorthodox supports. I'm sure K-Pop has limited to no experience playing against a Zac support. Someone so tanky and hard to deal with in that bottom lane. But really, yeah, you're right. I mean, there hasn't really been all that many shining lights right now for Regicide.
Pabu now top side and has completed a couple of ability power items for himself. Has the Abyssal's Mask done. Looking for even more magic resistant armor soon.
And you can see that Fade, one more time, is really far behind enemy lines, but you just feel like that's not a flank. He just doesn't want to be there.
Nope. And now they're going to lose 2 inhibitors for that. Abyss already taking down 1, move towards the bottom lane. That's the second to fall. ZZZ almost getting taunted up by Palmer there.
And there's just no way they get into this team fight.
ZZ wants to go in. He's popped his ultimate, flashes in. Big shockwave, but it's not going to be enough. Delivery service from Zac brings Suman into the fight. And Abyss are just going to decimate Regicide 1 by 1. Pabu jumps in, gives him the old uppercut, and Raid gets a quadra kill.
Yeah, Raid able to clean up the team fight. Regicide tried, but it's just not good enough.
Definitely not. They knock on the Nexus, and within 30 minutes, Abyss pick up their first win in the OPL.
I mean, and that was just slow, steady, roll the snowball down the hill, avoid ZZZ's Riven at all costs, and win the game. I mean, that's as simple as it was for Abyss. Never really challenged. I mean, if that's an even team fight at the end, 3-man Shockwave with a Riven jumping in there, that's a completely different story. But it wasn't an even team fight. Abyss knew that, and they were just able to take the game.
I mean, now do we ask the same question we asked on the Direwolves, which is, can they do it again, back-to-back? Game number 2, Abyss feel like they have to come in here and do the exact same thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, when you have a look at Abyss roster right now, this is not a 6th, 7th place roster anymore. Now that they've added Luch, now that they've got Rosie back there, they want top 4, top 3 to be able to really contend up there. And, you know, if you're going to be that squad, you have to, especially with no bans, you have to be able to smack the newcomers. I mean, that's exactly what you expect out of them. They got a really nice draft. They like their team comp. You could see how chuffed their coach was as well. And then they come in and they win the game. But you have to be able to consistently do that if you're going to prove that you're one of the top teams in the OPL.
Yep, and they're already able to do it game 1 here today against Regicide. Had a really, really good match there. And just seems like Regicide all out of sorts. They had some good points here, but just nothing really meshed together to them. To break down that game a little bit further, let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, Abyss, they're picking up their first win in the series, of the split, because it's the first game they've played. So a very strong start from them. And T-Gun, this is kind of how we expected things to go.
Yep, this was 5 decent solo queue players versus 5 good players and a good sort of team backing.
Yeah.
5 players who actually know what they're doing versus 5 challenger players. That's the difference. You see, one laner was able to get ahead because he's a good player, but he didn't have a team. He just had 5 random people that happened to be together.
And for the first time in what feels like forever, I got to watch Pabu concede lane, lose lane, but for the purpose of winning with the rest of his team, right? It's a little bit confusing and out of sorts, but I'm happy to see it. I'm actually impressed.
It's almost like a split in the OPL has matured young Pabu, and he's maybe changing his playstyle potentially.
No.
To be determined.
Yeah, that's
All right, well,
one game does not make a sample size.
Yeah, n equals 1. That's a sample size. 1 is a sample size. Very small. Anyway, yes. So let's talk then about that top lane matchup because, like you said, Pabu conceding lane, but we also saw him going up against Riven, which we kind of were saying that could be a danger, and it, I guess was sort of.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be a danger, right? ZZZ has played a fair amount of Riven. We said it almost jokingly before the game that he might just pull it out and just be a fantastic Riven and carry the game, but he was up against a Galio. And firstly, I mean, they got Galio, they got Zac.
Why?
Some of those things are avoidable, some are not, but it still works out that no matter what you pick top lane, it's nullified because you couldn't get rid of a Galio.
We can talk about their pick, no ban strategy. Why does Galio go... he got picked last. He got through to the final pick for Abyss. How does that happen? I get that you want to play Riven. You want to let your top shine on what is his best champion, I assume. But send the Galio support. Send him mid. Send him... I don't care. Just pick him. Send him ADC. I don't care what you do, but you cannot let it go through the last pick, especially when you're already giving up strong champions.
How does Galio fit into the Regicide draft if they take Galio over Lulu then?
Lulu's based around shielding and supporting a champion, right? What does Galio ult do? Supports a champion, stops people from hitting him, gets rid of them. So it fits the same ethos.
You think it's a stronger pick in the support role?
I think you need to pick it away from Abyss, or else you're giving them essentially probably the 5 strongest picks in all their roles.
Well, speaking of the pick ban phase, because Regicide lost all their bans, we got to see Zac on the Rift. Now, I think he's got some nerfs coming in future patches, but he's still looking very, very strong on this patch.
Yeah, he is super strong right now, and it's not just that they got the Zac, as the Galio was also mentioned. It's the combo between the two that really does set Abyss up for success in this game. You have the Zac go in, you have the Galio follow it up with his ultimate, and suddenly everybody in a giant circle is going to be in a whole lot of trouble, and then Zac ult, and then a million other things. The layering of CC is incredible for the side of Abyss.
Yeah.
If they hit one of them, the rest will follow naturally.
Absolutely, because you got that Varus ult as well. You can just kind
Exactly.
of chain people down. For Regicide, though, what are they trying to do with their... Like, what are the win conditions for that team comp if you're left with that?
Hope the
I'm
Riven
very
pops
confused.
off.
Hope the
I
Riven
even
pops,
said it
yeah.
upstairs. The
Yeah.
only way they win is if ZZ just goes nuts.
Yeah.
And he almost did. He almost did. But
The problem moving forward then is it's difficult for Regicide to improve that draft going into games, 2 and potentially 3 because they have no bans.
well, Zac won't get through unless Abyss just expect Regicide to not play it. They are blue side next time, so it won't get through. So that's a big positive for them. But they have to work out their priorities because we saw in the Chiefs Direwolves series, Galio banned every game because it is a very, very good pick.
Yeah.
Regicide obviously either can't play it or don't believe in that. And if they can't play it, someone needs to pick it up. If they don't believe that, they are wrong. All right? It's
Wow.
as simple as that.
Galio's a good champ.
It's a great champion.
I would also say, like, one step further than that Regicide, even if they can't play it, they just need to take it from
Yeah.
Abyss because you need to respect what your opponents are playing, right? And this
Sure.
comes back to when you look at Regicide's roster. They've got themselves the Riven, they've got Suman on the Orianna. They've picked champions that they want to play themselves. They didn't pick a comp that they want to play themselves or a strategy that feels like a 5-man. When you look at Abyss's 5-man, it actually makes a lot of sense. I see semblances of it, but it doesn't feel as cohesive for me.
I will say, just quickly, for everyone out there that thinks, hey, picking up a new champion's hard, Galio, not hard, all right? Go first time in ranked. I don't care. It's good. It's easy. It's not a difficult
Press Q,
champion
clear
to pick
wave.
up.
All right, I'd just like to say that I'd like to distance myself from T-Gun's remark. I don't think you should, just first time any champion ranked. I just think you respect the
I
game.
do it all the time.
Just play. All right.
How else will you learn?
Let's play with your friends. All right, let us take a look at some replays because obviously, like we were saying, Zac a first time for the OPL this split we're seeing him because it was banned out all of the last game Direwolves versus Chiefs. And Rosie looking very at home on the champion. Let's take a look at this bot lane fight because there's some great Zac play in here, Rusty.
Yeah, the big example, once again, of what the combo can be between them wasn't even Pabu's ultimate on their Galio, but the flash taunt's always going to be there with the knockups, the layering of crowd control, and at this stage in the game, Luch is so fed that he'll be able to one-tap everybody, and he even adds another layer of potential crowd control for them there. So their mid-range engage with the tanks to follow up. Great example of it there.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to say something there, Tegan.
No, there's not much more to say. I mean, they just all died.
They just all died. Indeed.
All game, that's all that happened. K-pop died a bunch, and then the game was over.
So then, what should Regicide be doing to claw their way back into this? Because okay, let's look through this. Let's look through this lens of they're swapping sides. So presumably they can ban Zac. Then do they leave?
They can't ban Zac. They don't have bans.
Sorry, they can't. Sorry, they can. Sorry, they will not. My apologies.
They can pick it.
They can pick Zac if their opponents leave it open. But are their opponents then going to leave up Zac and Galio and pick the one the other doesn't pick or something? Like, what's the likelihood there?
I feel like they'll leave up Galio because if they thought it was a real big problem, they would have banned it on their first draft.
Sure.
They banned Karma, Fiora, Jace, their first 3 bans. Karma, not really a necessary ban, so obviously they've done some research into their opponents and decided these are 3 very high priorities that we need to remove. But I'm going to say it right now, if Abyss don't ban Zac, it's really, really just overconfident. Like, it's just silly at that point. So I'm not quite sure how Regicide adapt to it. They need to pick up Galio, but apart from that,
Speaking of confidence, if you're Abyss, you've got to be going to game 2. Very confident. I want to take a look at this quadra kill at the end, this final team fight, because if you're Raid and you pull this off, you're going to be feeling very good, right, Rusty?
And you're pulling it off after a pretty good combo between an Orianna and a Riven. You may not have seen that during the game because the game was already over. The combo was sick, but it was a too little too late feature. And this is where, again, the tanks of the Abyss roster were completely untouchable. The damage that they're able to do, the fact they stay in the front line and Raid gets himself a quadra.
Very exciting stuff. So going into then game 2, then do you think this is going to be a 2-0 then? Is this very, very likely? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw nothing that would show that Regicide can win as a team.
Is there anything Abyss should be doing differently to what they did in game 1, or is it the kind of the skill
Zac.
gap is? Yeah, sure,
That's it.
sure.
Ban Zac. Hopefully, if they don't pick Galio, you just take it, and it's pretty much a free win. Like I said before, they're just 5 better players in each role, and they work better as a team.
And they're also at a massive advantage because they don't have their opponents don't have bans.
There's just not much you can do from the side of Regicide when you're in such a disadvantageous position.
If you are Regicide then, and you are in this, like you said, pretty bad position right now, and you're going into this second game. I mean, is this a learning experience? Look at those bar graphs.
I mean, the thing to take away here, though, is take it with a grain of salt. Riven doesn't really do a lot of damage to champions. He just bursts them. Whereas something that pokes like Varus, like Syndra, can do a lot of damage. Galio, a lot of that damage is probably just in lane, throwing his Q to clear the wave and also tagging the Riven. But at the same time, there can't be this much disparity. You know, you've got Syndra doing roughly twice the damage as Orianna, and that's just, you know, it's a clear sign that one team is able to hit you a hell of a lot more than the other team.
There's just a lot for me when I look at the Regicide playing of their first game. K-pop in particular, I think he needs to work with his team more. I don't know if it's communication, but he needs to not be alone. He needs to not be frontlining. He needs to potentially be Karma instead of something like the Lulu if that's how he's going to play. And if he's going to frontline, be Braum instead of all of those, right? Like, so that's, for me, the first thing I'd look is K-pop. Something needs to change with the draft or with his play style for the Regicide roster to get better. The second thing for me is still Syndra. I think that Syndra's just the best champion, and it's never going to be the first pick from anybody. But if you're Regicide, you may want to consider that. If you don't play the Galio, you're going to give them the Galio because you don't have bans, then pick something else anyway. Win lane with your champions. Pick win lane champions and win the game through that.
Yeah. One thing I will say for K-pop, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it was land nerfs. It's the first time for a lot of them playing on land, playing offline, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say a lot of that was land nerfs, not just him being a poor player. But hopefully he can rectify them in the next game and show us why he's on the team, why he deserves to be on the team. Apart from that, I think you're spot on, and they just need to pick win lane champions and hope that they can snowball hard enough out of there to win the game.
Do you think he might feel more comfortable on a more aggressive support player, an aggressive support champ?
I'm not sure. I don't really know what he prefers to play.
Right.
I mean, let's say he's a blitz main that just wants to play blitz one more game, all right? The coach should let him do that, okay?
A lot of personal
Yeah,
grievances
that's
being aired here on the analyst's desk.
We're seeing a Blitzcrank tomorrow, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, Blitzcrank is it coming out tomorrow? Let us know now. Yeah, Twitter's hashtag IamOPL if you would like someone to play Blitzcrank's Live tomorrow. But yeah, let's round this out. Is there anything Regicide can do to pull this back? I mean, they've got no bans. They're at a massive disadvantage. Are they meant to just play scared and play safe and then play under the towers? What are they meant to do?
I'm just going to echo what Rosie said. They need to pick 5 winning champions in lane and try and win through there. Otherwise, I don't see an avenue where they could ever beat any team at this point.
Yeah, play it aggressive, make the big plays, don't back away, just give it all you've got, and not just try and rely on the team play where maybe the nerves are preventing you from doing it.
You guys are such downers about this.
That's not downer at all. That was a solution.
No, but you look at your body language. You both just
Smacked.
Looking at this game after such a close series, all right, we look at Chiefs Direwolves battling to the end.
On a knife's edge.
And now we look at this game where Regicide looked like they were in it when Riven got a kill, and then it all just fell apart consecutively across the board. All right, they had one good team fight at the very end of the game when it didn't matter.
Do you think they're going to ban out? Do you think they're going to ban out Riven?
Who, Abyss?
Abyss. Do you think Abyss is going to ban out Riven?
Nah.
Maybe.
Not even a threat. That's that's a big call, right? It's not, they would not even see it as a threat.
Okay, this may be a Pabu thing, to be fair. So correct me if I'm wrong here.
Hubris.
Pabu will probably say, don't ban it, I can beat it.
Hubris.
So I just don't
I
think they
see.
will ban it for that
Right.
reason. Like, even if it wins the game, maybe then the team will say, all right, shut up, Pabu, we're banning it. But they've got to win that game first.
All right, well, it's time for us to get into our second game of this second match. This is Abyss versus the newly promoted Regicide. So, before we go to our casters, let's check out some highlights from Game 1.
It's an ultimate they used very early on towards the Syndrome, but they locked down Fate. He's dead instantly. Said very close to dying, but it's Luch that picks up first blood. Have to pick it down. The raid now getting engaged on in the bottom lane. Wild Growth preemptively used by K-pop. Will slam the 2 champions in together. Luch try to dash on in. Delivery service from Rosie brings the support back into the rest of the teams. As that's a flash forward from Raid over behind the turret. Locks down Lulu. K-pop's already bonus flash from earlier. Pabu gets the Superman grand entrance there just for style points. Luch, he doesn't care to super around him. No problem. They polymorph Rosie. Gets the rubber hands together. Knocked back into the team. Let's go, boys. We're going to bounce straight back. They pop Zac, but he's the only one fallen so far. His passive going to try and keep himself alive. Knock back the stun, but ZZ still gets the kill with the wind slash. And all of a sudden the turret dies.
Rosie, big jump in, knocks 2 in again, and let's bounce. Brings 2 back to the team, not even required. They die mid-air. K-pop, the last man standing. The poor little Lulu. Don't hurt him, Luch. Double kill, picked up by the mid laner.
And Luch all of a sudden 5-0-2.
ZZ wants to go in. He's popped his ultimate, flashes in. Big shockwave, but it's not going to be enough. Delivery service from Zac brings Suman into the fight, and Abyss are just going to decimate Regicide 1 by 1. Pabu jumps in, gives him the old uppercut, and Raid gets a quadra kill.
Yeah, Raid able to clean up the team fight. Regicide tried, but it's just not good enough.
Definitely not. They knock on the Nexus, and within 30 minutes, Abyss pick up their first win in the OPL.